Hey everybody, welcome to the Cardboard Cave. We're here to do something different that I've not done before. I'm going to give you my top movie from each of the last 5 years. So my single favorite movie in 2020 through 2024. It's too early to talk about 2025 yet. Who knows what will be the best movie of the year. Of course, I haven't seen every movie, and my taste are my taste. I don't expect anyone to completely agree with every pick, maybe not any pick. But let me know now down below if there's one of these that you think, yeah, I'm right, that is the best movie of that year. Or one where you think I totally missed it and there's a better movie that year. Please let me know. This is probably, of all the videos I've ever done, this is a great one to have discussion on. I would love to have discussion. And I've got the Blu-ray release of each of these just to kind of show you what I'm talking about, although I think you've probably heard of all these movies, or at least most of them. Except for the first one, the one I don't have a Blu-ray for. From 2020, my favorite movie was Wolfwalkers. Wolfwalkers, a part of the sort of loose trilogy of movies that started with The Secret of Kells, continued with Song of the Sea, and then there's Wolfwalkers, which was actually put out by Apple TV, at least here in America. Apple TV Plus, I guess. Phenomenal movie from the Irish studio Cartoon Saloon, who also did both of these movies. All the movies have a folklore, sort of a folktale kind of feeling, very inspired by Irish mythology, and just stunning animation, beautiful music, wonderful voice acting, and a heartwarming story that I would say is wonderful for adults, wonderful for teens, and for more mature, older kids, I would say. I don't think there's anything objectionable in it. It's just, it might be a little too scary and honestly just not interest a young child. But I think it's a beautiful story and it is family friendly. Wolfwalkers from 2020, Cartoon Saloon, wonderful stuff. Apple TV, shame on you for not letting them. It really stinks having both of these, but they made it very hard to get the physical release in America of Wolfwalkers. I believe it was briefly released, but only as a trilogy set with these two included, and I missed out on it. Anyways, that's frustrating, but the movie's fantastic, and I assume it's still on Apple TV if you have Apple TV. Find a way to watch it. All right, 2021. My favorite movie of 2021. Oh, sorry, I was also going to give you the Rotten Tomatoes scores. 99% for Wolfwalkers, astounding. Of course, meaning 99% of critics say you need to see it. 98% audience rating. One of those rare instances where both critics and audiences basically agreed. Unanimous, fantastic movie. But 2021 is Dune. Now, I had not read Dune. I'm just a moron, I guess. I should have read Dune. But I'm very interested in the world. I've always been interested in what I've heard about it, just never read it. So when I heard there was going to be a new movie, I was excited. And in my opinion, they so pulled it off. Just the feeling of this movie. It's the visuals, it's the sound. More than any movie I can think of in the last few years, the visuals and the sound tell the story as much as the story itself. The soundtrack by Hans Zimmer, to me, is just easily one of his greatest. Probably my favorite of his, which is, if you know the man, you know that's saying something. He's done so many of the big soundtracks in film. I adore what they did with it, with the visuals and the sound. And hey, the story is super interesting and the acting is phenomenal. So it just all comes together. It's one of those movies that just clicked with me. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, yep, that's one of my favorite movies. 83% from critics, which still surprises me, especially considering the sequel was considerably higher. Still very, very positive. But I'm not sure what the 17% who don't recommend it expected, because I think they nailed it. But 90% from audiences, which this is not like this is not a Star Wars movie. It's not like a rollicking adventure movie, though they definitely found ways to make it entertaining, for sure. But there's a lot of pretty heavy stuff going on here, which I tend to love that kind of thing in sci-fi. As long as it's not like so dark, so oppressively dark. And I think sort of like The Dark Knight, which might be crazy, but this reminds me of The Dark Knight more than most movies do. And that it's such a heavy movie, but it's not I mean, it's PG-13, you know, it's so heavy, yet it's very much PG-13. Yeah, make sure I was right about that. Anyways, Dune, 2021, my favorite movie of that year. 2022 is probably not surprising to anyone who saw this movie. It's surprising to me because I did not really know much of anything about the first movie in this series. And in fact, I only watched the first movie in this series because of this movie coming out and all the positive buzz I was hearing. I'm like, well, maybe I should check it out. And that's Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick. Only watched Top Gun because I knew this movie was coming out and I was hearing good things. And Tom Cruise is like ridiculously entertaining. I mean, he is. Me and my wife enjoyed Top Gun. The music is stupendous. It's amazing. The music's amazing. The story is pretty light. There's not a whole lot of story, like a lot of movies from the 80s, frankly. But it was entertaining. It was fun. The music was amazing. But this, I'm sorry. You know I go old school if you watch this channel. If you listen to the Retro Bliss podcast back in the day. But this movie blows away the original. As a pure movie, it's not even close. This is one of the best action movies I've seen in the last 10 years. Critics agree. 96% for an action movie. The original Top Gun was nowhere near that applauded by the critics. 99%. Everybody I knew who saw this movie said, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. That kind of thing can turn me away from a movie. But this one, I think, lived up to it. 99% audience rating. 96% critics. So far, I'm agreeing with the audience on all these movies and pretty much the critics as well, which is not really that normal for me. So that was kind of surprising. One of the greatest movies ever made, says Joey something of... Okay. I can't even read that. Absolutely terrific in every conceivable way. Yeah, I would agree with that. One of the best action movies I've seen in some time. Just entertaining from beginning to end. Makes you feel good, makes you feel proud. Not even like in a cloying, patriotic way. But it's sort of in a patriotic way, but not, I don't know how to put this, but in a way that feels good. Like it feels earned. Like it's just that good of a movie. It's a movie that you walk away thinking, that was worth the ticket price. That was worth the ticket price. So yeah, that's 2022 Top Gun Maverick. All right, I'm going to spoil it. The 2023 winner is my favorite movie on this whole list. And you know what praise I was just giving those other movies. But this is my favorite movie of the 5 I'm talking about today. And it happened to come out in 2023, which is a year where I saw a lot of movies I really enjoyed. Like, I saw a lot of movies I really enjoyed that year. 2023, I mean, I looked at this when I made the list for sure. But was that when Oppenheimer came out, or was that 24? I think it was 2023, right? I mean, Oppenheimer, and I believe it was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which, you know, maybe some people wouldn't consider that for Movie of the Year, but I absolutely love that movie. I mean, it finished that trilogy in such a wonderful way. It was so much fun. And there was a couple others that were like, I can't believe I'm not picking that. But my favorite movie of 2023, it's not even close. Godzilla Minus One. Oh my goodness. This, I don't love this because I'm a Godzilla fan. I'm a Godzilla fan because of this. I grew up respecting Godzilla. I knew the original black and white movie was kind of a special thing, and it was more than just a monster movie, that it really had some poignant commentary after World War II, and was a really important touchstone, especially for the people of Japan, and I always respected it. And then I saw the 1998 Matthew Broderick movie, and enjoyed the heck out of it, even though even then I think I knew it wasn't a good movie. And I think it's probably the most hated Godzilla movie now. But I've not really seen a whole lot else. I saw one of the other American ones. Had Eleven from Stranger Things. I'm blanking on her name. That's really bad. I saw one other movie that I'm pretty sure was an American Godzilla movie. But there was also Pacific Rim. I might be confusing with it. I'm trying to make a point here. I was not some huge Godzilla fan. I was a tangential, I think I said that word wrong, Godzilla fan at best. But then this came out, And I'll be honest with you, the main reason I went to see it, I don't go see my movies by myself. It's just not something I really do. But I had opportunity to see a movie. Um, and I didn't think anybody else was able to go with me or really cared to. And I kept hearing how amazing this movie is. Like, shoot, I'm just going to go see it. And this is going to sound cheesy, but this has only happened to me a couple other times in my life. And one of those times was at least one of the Lord of the Rings films. So we're talking over 20 years ago. I left the movie theater thankful. Gratitude was my primary emotion. That and just maybe anxiety. Gratitude, though, I think was my primary emotion leaving the movie theater because I knew I'd just seen a special movie. I think Godzilla Minus One, despite being a Japanese-made movie, is a movie that's made the way they made movies. I don't mean like 100 years ago. I mean like 15 or 20 years ago. I mean, back, for example, when The Lord of the Rings came out. Back in that time. It's just, there's no fat. I mean, it is just over 2 hours long. But it feels like every one of those minutes is important. There's no fat. It doesn't bombard you with special effects and bombard you with action to the point you become numb. Which, as much as I love some of them, is something that the Marvel movies really, I think, popularized. They're certainly not the only culprits. And they don't all do that. But the ones that do. This doesn't do that, though. It knows when to pull back and let you soak in the human moments. It knows when to put the pedal down and put you on the edge of your seat. Now, make no mistake, this is an exciting movie. My wife, when we finished watching the movie, so I saw it in the theater, just rewatched it, I think it was last week, with my wife. First time she'd seen it. Only the second time I'd seen it. I don't know why it took so long to get the 4K release and watch it again. Because I never completely stopped thinking about it. But anyways, she checked her blood pressure. She never does that. She has good blood pressure. She used my cuff to check her blood pressure afterwards. Because she was feeling like maybe it was high. Like she thought she could feel it. Now, I don't think it was, but that was the tension the movie caused for her. But at the same time, it's not nonstop. It knows when to show you the monster. It knows when to pull back and just let you enjoy or be involved in the human story. It's got heart. I cried in the theater. I cried again watching it at home. But it's also intense and exciting. And I don't know if we'll ever know the true budget, but I've heard incredibly low numbers. The budget for this movie puts Hollywood studios to shame because it looks so good. The CG looks so good. The settings look so good. I mean, it takes place like, it's like, I'm thinking like days post-war. Like it's right at the end of World War II. Like maybe within a couple of days. Like it's right then is when it takes place. And it feels that way. So the human part looks great. The monster part looks great. It's amazing. It's fantastic. I've talked too long. Sorry. But this isn't just my favorite movie of 2023. It's one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies of the decade. Period. Which feels a little unfair to the last one because I just said all that. But 2024, just last year. Oh, sorry. Godzilla Minus One. 99% from critics. For a Godzilla movie? Yeah, you heard that right. Over 100 critics. It was a widely reviewed movie. 99% of them recommend it. 98% of audiences. And this is a movie that, mind you, came out with subtitles. 98% of us dumb Americans recommend it. 99% of critics. You got to see Godzilla Minus One. But 2024, maybe a little boring. I'll just go and say it. It's the sequel to Dune. I'll also be honest. If I'd seen more movies in 2024, maybe one of them would have made the cut. But I'm also not scared to pick Dune Part 2 because it absolutely lives up to the first one. Dune Part 2, I think the thing that makes it the most special is that it's a movie that felt made for the theater. Like, I mean, I said the same thing about Top Gun Maverick, but I felt like I got every single cent out of my movie ticket and the popcorn and the drink and all of it because it just filled up the screen. It filled up the room with sound. It was like every dollar they spent. I'll mention Lord of the Rings again, like the Lord of the Rings film trilogy from Peter Jackson. You feel like every dollar they spent, and it was a lot of dollars for Dune Part 2, but you feel like every single dollar they spent is on that screen. And that is something the director, whose name I won't try to pronounce because I don't want to mess it up. I read an interview with him that he said something like that he feels like audiences should see every dollar that was spent on the screen. He doesn't like to waste when not needed because he wants it to show. He wants it to show on the screen. And I think he nailed it. It looks like it cost $1 billion. I know it's expensive, but it wasn't $1 billion. It looks like it cost $1 billion. And it's epic. It's sprawling. It's heavy. If you expected the second part of Dune to not be heavy, then you probably thought it was a different book anyways. Yeah, I do think it lived up to the first one. There's something special about that first one. The second one is so heavy that I think maybe I could rewatch the first part more often. But this is every inch of it lives up to the first part. And actually is rated higher. 92% of critics and 95% of audiences recommend Dune Part 2. So overall, I guess maybe that makes me boring, but I agree with the critics and the audiences on almost all of these. But, I mean, I said it. Of the 5, for me, if you're only going to see one, it's got to be Godzilla -1. And watch it in the original Japanese with English subtitles, even if you don't normally do that kind of thing. If you absolutely hate subtitles and you can't do it, still watch it. I'm sure the English voice cast did their best, but there's no way it's going to hold the same weight, I don't think. I don't speak Japanese, but I could tell they were putting their heart into it with the acting. Anyways, I highly recommend each of those, obviously. They were my favorite movies from the year 2020 until 2024. This has been The Cardboard Cave. Please, even if you've never commented on one of my videos before, let me know each of these years, these 5 years, what movie did I miss from that year that you think was the best? The new Wallace and Gromit movie just came out in 2024. I didn't see it until like last week. I didn't see it in 2024, but man, that's good. That would have been a contender for 2024. Anyways, let me know, though, what's your favorite movie from any of these years or each of these years if you want to do a whole list. Is there any of them you think I nailed? Like, yep, that is the best movie of that year. Just let me know. Thank you so much for checking out The Cardboard Cave, and we'll catch you next time.